Govlove84R of OSMST Limited, and I just wanted to do a blog regarding something that's been bothering me over the past few days. Recently I read on the news that Erbil city in Iraqi Kurdistan was shelled by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards said there was an Israeli terrorist base in Erbil, Kurdistan. So I just wanted to share my opinion regarding the matter. Middle Eastern nations or Asian nations in Asia secure trade deals with America for such as trade and security and upgrade, basically an investment and upgrade. And in exchange for trade deals you get technology, access to science and education, and it's just like an upgrade of your nation. But currently the Zionist lobby in America, they attach conditions to securing these trade deals, that if you wish to do business with America you have to recognize political Zionism. And nations in the Middle East that have accepted political Zionism are nations like the UAE and Al Saud from Arabia, out of Saudi Arabia, who don't question what Zionists do in territories such as the territory of the Holy Land of Canaan, or Philistine and Phoenician and Lebanon and Palestine. So in order for these upgrades of the UAE and Al Saud, Saudi Arabia, they have to keep their mouth shut and turn a blind eye to killings and murder and apartheid. So when the United States capitalist Zionism controls the world banks and finance and commerce and trade, it's very difficult to object to them, because when they have so much power it's very difficult to say, actually hold on a minute, I disagree with what you're doing. And so I just wanted to get into perspective what could be possibly a safer trade deal for the Kurdish regional government in Iraqi Kurdistan to secure the United States, to prevent hostilities from Iranian Revolutionary Guards from shelling Iraqi Kurdish territory bases. So I'm a Native American sympathizer. I have more sympathy for the Native Americans. But at the time, I'm disgusted by the history of the United States of America, of how it came to be, whether it's from the colonization and the annexing of Native American territories, or the triangular trade. I think it's got such a gruesome, bloody, horrible history of how it came to be. But a time eventually came where a constitution, an American constitution, was established. Now, presidents such as Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, I think his name George Madison, I can't remember his name, they called for separation of church from the state, meaning the Bible or Torah, Old Testament, New Testament is separate, or any religion really, is separate from the business of the state. So what the Zionists are currently doing is they are saying to nations in the Middle East or Asia or other parts of the world, in order for you to get this upgrade from the United States, in order for America to give you their input and their technology and their development ideas and sciences and technology, you have to accept Zionism. So what is Zionism? Zionism is a political ideology that lays claim to Jerusalem based on biblical origins, where they claim in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, the Jewish Torah, the Hebrew Torah, or the Christian Bible, where they claim God promised them Jerusalem, and they had a temple there during the times of King Solomon, during the wars with King David against the indigenous Canaanites who annexed land during those times and established a north kingdom of Israel and a southern kingdom of Judah. So they believe because of that biblical argument, they have more claim and more right to be there than anybody else. So that is a church argument, that's a religious argument, and that argument or that claim is part of a church, whether it's a synagogue church or Christian church, and that is supposed to be in the United States, according to the United States Constitution, separate from the state. So for the synagogue church to attach those conditions to securing trade deals with like Kurdish regional governments, or with Lebanon, or with any other nation, that you have to accept and agree with their biblical claim to Canaanite, Philistine or Palestinian or Lebanese land. That's a breach of the constitution, because that argument is supposed to be separate from the state. And meaning, to secure a trade deal, you don't have to recognise a religious dispute of any religion to secure an upgrade of your territory. If you seek an investment or trade or security, that should have nothing to do with it. But the Zionists, because they control the world's finance and commerce and the world banks, it's very difficult to oppose that. So to attach that condition to secure trade deals with the Kurdish regional government is wrong. But there's many nations in the Middle East that have accepted those conditions, like the United Arab Emirates and like Al Saud from Arabia, Saudi Arabia, who have gladly turned a blind eye to the murders of the Canaanite Palestinians or Lebanese Phoenicians to secure trade deals, and had the United States recognize their autonomy and their sovereignty and their authority to get investment, to secure trade deals and upgrades of their territory. So there's people who will, how to put it, the easiest option is just to say two-state deal. We recognise there should be a two-state deal in the Middle East, where you have Israel's right to exist and West Bank and the Gaza Strip, and they secure trade deals like that. But I think to secure trade deals at the expense of other people being murdered and treated like second-class citizens in their own land based on their ethnicity is very wrong. And I'm just thinking, if I, as an Aryan cousin from North India, with what can I say to a Kurdish Peshmerga warrior brother and sister, I'm just thinking how to word communication to secure a better trade deal without having to accept political Zionism. And the best way is to, I think, if you were to say something along the lines, the American Constitution states that the church is separate from the business of the state of the United States of America. Jewish claim to the land of Jerusalem is based on a church religious doctrine. Kurdish regional government would like to do business with the state of the United States of America, such as the Carl Sagan-like minds, the Bernie Sanders, the Noam Chomskys, the Thomas Jeffersons, the Benjamin Franklins, the Madisons, who will not add biblical conditions of a church which is supposed to be separate from the business of the state, and keep that separate from securing an upgrade of the Kurdish territory in regards to education, technology. And we like to secure these trade and security deals with the state of the United States of America. We will not add church conditions to securing trade deals, such as recognizing political Zionism, as the Zionist lobby have been doing over the past 60-70 years. And that's who we'd like to continue resume trade with. So I think that will put Kurdish regional government in a better position. How to put it? Kurdish want the nightlife, they want like the party life, and with mullahs in Iran who are hardline ultra-conservatives, that's going to their freedoms and their liberties going to be breached. So I think they want to be closer to the United States so they can have those basic modernization, liberal progressive freedoms. But currently they've been told to have those freedoms, they have to recognize Zionist claim to Jerusalem. Now, if you want to go biblical, Canaanites were there first. We evolved from primates, or various primates throughout the planet, and when humans had evolved from primates, they developed languages and scriptures, and wrote down text systems and hieroglyphs and pictograms, and wrote down religious scriptures or religious creationist theories of how they believed we were created. So these were parables, fictitious stories that were written after we evolved from various primates. So for the Zionist, Hebrew, Jewish Israelites, the European Israelites, to claim that they have more right to Jerusalem because it says in their Bible, because God said He promised it to them. Well, anyone could write a scripture, a piece of paper, and say, God said I can have that. God promised me that piece of land over there. It's mine now. When there's settlers who've been settled there for 1,000 years before. So you can't really do that. That's illegal to claim based on that sort of argument. So yeah, I'm just thinking. Yeah, another thing. This is regarding the Ukraine. Now, in the European referendum in Britain, I voted to remain in the EU because I used to attend Richmond Adult Community College, and they were funded by the European Union. And so I think that to have funding from the base in the European Union for Richmond Adult Community College would be good for Britain. I'm keen on the single market and freedom of movement and the European Charter of Fundamental Human Rights, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom to protest, and all these liberties I'm passionate about. I wanted to still remain with the EU for those reasons. Now, the Ukraine wants to be part of the EU for those reasons as well, because of the European single market, because of the European Charter of Fundamental Human Rights and things like that. But currently, NATO is saying if the Ukraine want to be part of this bloc, this EU, they also have to accept this political Zionism, which is wrong. That's basically blackmail. Zionists are blackmailing Middle Eastern countries that we have to recognise what they're doing to the Palestinians in order to get an upgrade of our territories in their countries. They're saying to Ukraine to be part of the single market, freedom of movement and European Charter of Fundamental Human Rights, that they have to turn a blind eye to what they're doing to those poor Palestinian people, and it's blackmail, and that's wrong. I don't have sympathy for Palestinians based because of religion. I don't look at the religion side of it. I look at them as human beings who've been persecuted because of their ethnicity by the same colonial Zionists that looted and plundered India during the colonial times. And now they're up to no good all these years later, still hurting people, and they can't be allowed to think they can do that and get away with it. So that's my main reason for being sympathetic to on humanitarian reasons, not religious reasons, why I'm sympathetic towards the Philistine-Canaanite struggle. So I just think if the Kurdish regional government would just basically to say, we would like to secure trade and security deals and development and upgrade deals with the United States of America, with the Thomas Jeffersons, with the Benjamin Franklin-like minds who separate synagogue church from the state, meaning there's no conditions that we have to accept Zionist claim to the Holy Land of Canaan, the Palestinian and Lebanese territories, but we would like to resume trade with the scientists, the social Darwinians, those who accept evolution as fact, and the scientists. And if they say no, you have to accept Zionist claim to Palestinian, Philistine, Canaanite land, well then that's putting a church religious dispute and adding it to the state business. So they have to make their mind up. Is the United States of America, is it a church or is it a secular state? So that's just what I wanted to say. So that's Governor 84R of OSNST Limited. Peace.